Alright, people. Sorry about that. I think we should be good now. Much love to everyone. Alright, beautiful. Yeah, we're kicking in. Sick. Let me know how these visuals are looking. Alright, Chain Kitten, Brooke, Tito, appreciate y'all. Jody, appreciate you showing up. Eighth Day, Eleonora, Bronco, Seeker, Amad, Marcel, Vladi, Mike Phipps, Mike Phillips, appreciate you, brother. Susie, Andrew, Matt Quigg, Justin, I appreciate all y'all. Got about like 150 people up in here. Let's let a couple more people join in. And remember, we're trying to keep it off crypto topics today. No crypto. Talk about that shit enough. Let's talk about some real stuff. Sending all y'all lots of love. Location unknown, welcome. Appreciate you showing up. Los Lopez. Ian, appreciate you showing up, brother. Thank you, Jody. Yeah, we hit 30K today. 30K subs. Couldn't have done it without y'all. It's crazy, right? Started the channel a year ago. I wonder if anyone here started watching my channel in March 2021. If you did, you're OG, man. Miriam, Carmen. Great. Yeah, some people are saying now that they did get a notification this time. That's good. Yeah, I had a little bit of an issue today with the YouTube account, so then that could have messed things up when I first tried going live, but it's all good. This one should be fine. Detroit Dan, appreciate you, brother. Guillermo, No Defender, sending you lots of love. You and the entire 3T Warrior Academy, I appreciate you guys. Noli. DGB Phil, I appreciate you showing up. Yeah, shout out to Donut Factory. Brother Alex, I appreciate him a lot. He posted our interview yesterday, so go over to his channel, Donut Factory. He's making incredible work. He's one of like the best video editors in the community. Like anyone who's posting stuff that's revealing the truth and just looking deeper into the machinations of this matrix, I mean, he's doing incredible work. Absolutely mind-blowing. And it was great to have an interview that was edited the way that he set it up. It made it look super high quality. I really appreciate him doing that. Appreciate you, Jason. JC, M. Campbell, love money, appreciate you showing up. Yeah, I'm loving these visuals, man. I'm going to connect with this guy who makes all these visuals and see if he could do something custom for me. Then we'll just have our own pack of visuals to use for our live streams. Maybe we could get some drone footage too and like kind of combine it all together. Be great. Yeah, if you stare at this shit long enough, you'll start to trip out. Put on some solfeggio frequencies in the background. Like, you'll start to doze off. Appreciate you, M. Campbell. Polly Wog. Appreciate you. Yep. Double what Jody said. Let's talk about real stuff. We don't use these Friday live streams for crypto. I know a lot of people are new to this channel. I'm not sure how many of them are tuning in. Ever since that interview that we did with Alex over at Donut Factory and Ani Osaru, I'm not sure if he's tuned into this live stream, but if he is, much love to brother Ani. That was an amazing collaboration that we had yesterday. I was really vibing with him. So that's another one to check out. Wow, I'm actually pretty blown away how many collaborations I've done just in the start of this year. You know, like I'm usually connecting with Logan once in a while. Shout out to my brother Logan over at Decode Your Reality. But lately we've really been expanding, talking to people about a lot of things, and it's been beautiful to be able to get on other platforms and talk about Gematria and talk about decoding and talk about this world that we're in right now in this special time. You know, we're in that 7-year cycle. That's why the world's so chaotic. That's why the psyops are coming from all angles. That's why finances are so awkward right now. We're seeing so many weird things happening in these charts, not only for cryptocurrencies, but just all things in general. It's a lot of chaos. And those of you that were aware of Shemitah and the power of this 7-year cycle, you were prepared. And now we're just kind of riding the wave, you know? The beautiful thing, though, is riding the chaotic tidal wave. If you could learn how to do that, then shit, when the waves get more chill, it's so easy. And that's what, like, focusing on mindset is all about, like, not getting so worried about everything, you know? Right now, people are so worried about everything. Stuff that doesn't even affect them at all. They're just letting it get to them. And that's what's been beautiful about collaborating with some other people and focusing more on coming together with other content creators rather than division. And that's the last thing we need right now, you know? Look at how much division is going on in the world, on the world stage. So much hate, so much fear, so much negativity. Over what? Like, seriously, over what? Resources, money, power? It's an illusion. Don't get swept up in that tidal wave of fear, you know? We'll get some questions. Lots of love in this chat. Last week was amazing. Like, the live chat that we had last week was probably the most epic chat I've seen in a live stream ever. It was like a big it's like a big party, like a gathering of minds. Everyone was working together. Everyone was bouncing ideas back and forth, asking each other questions, and just vibing, man. It was so amazing to see. It's crazy. You see some live streams sometimes, and there's just like a lot of argument and debate. It's like, what? Anyways, it's really beautiful to see the way this chat has been over the past couple weeks, but definitely last week was like elevated. It was really dope. Teresa Chai, I appreciate you. Dino G. Matt Sachs. Anthony. Just KJ. Appreciate all y'all. Got about 260 people. Beautiful. Maui Crypto. Somebody said, can we talk about Facebook? Well, I don't use Facebook. I haven't used Facebook in years. I don't know what's going on with that. All I know is the last time I was looking at that meta chart, it was pretty rough. But I try to stay away from doing TA on stocks. It's kind of worthless. Stock market's toasted. So Anthony23 says, lost 2 cricket Australian legend over the last 48 hours, man. You were right again on the famous deaths. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We were talking about the death potentially on the 6th, 7th, or 8th of March because of that kind of energy around March 7th that I shared, and that was for New York kind of time zone, like anyone in the States or this particular time zone. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I don't know if any cricket player could possibly be world famous. Perhaps they were famous in Australia or in that sport, but what I would, and again, like, you know, that's not to offend a cricket fan, but I'm just saying that the whole idea behind what I was sharing with that, the 187, and the amount of days in between 6 days before Rosh Hashanah, and how March 7th is the 66th day of the year, and that's the 666 connection, tying back to 187 days, and that was all kind of this idea for March 7th. And anyways, I think it's going to be a big, like, I was kind of going like super world famous celebrity, a household name, you know what I mean? That's more what I'm thinking. But who knows? I'm not really using this code, or I'm not really using Gematria and all that to talk about celebrities and news and all of that. I'm really trying to just like give out the information, and then people could take it and do what they want to do. It's not really about predictions anymore. I'm over that stuff. I get so much more bliss living my day-to-day life, just studying the code, practicing the code, seeing the connections, and being neutral through my analytical side of the code. Like, if I'm going to give my energy to anything, it's going to be creation. It's going to be art. It's going to be music. It's going to be when I'm creating content. So yeah, whatever is going on in Australia right now, I'm sending love to all of y'all. Like, I know that there's lots of flooding. I'm not entirely sure of the situation at this very moment, but I do believe it's quite devastating. So send everyone here in this chat, send your high vibrations out to people that are going through that in Australia. I know a lot of people from Australia follow my work. I do believe it's affecting like the Brisbane, Queensland area. It's unfortunate. And also pretty wild, because I was talking, any OGs here that used to follow my work like back in March, April, maybe even May of a year ago, you'll know that a lot of people were asking me like, Jordan, what events do you see coming our way? And I was telling people that I sincerely believe that we're going to have a liquefaction of the ground beneath us. And a lot of people like, what are you talking about? What does that mean? And I was trying to tell them it's not necessarily just flooding. It's that like literally the waters below are going to start it's going to start swallowing up the ground itself. And we're going to have land chipping away. And I was already seeing tons of videos from people who live around like the Great Lakes, like Lake Erie, Lake Huron. And they were showing just fucking like pieces of land just cracking and going into the ocean, just trees, falling into the ocean, or the lake, excuse me, the lake. And, like there's already so much stuff going on in the UK. A couple years ago, there was a lot of flooding there historically. And there's a lot of flooding all the time. Lots of landslides happening in a lot of places that we don't usually see them. But yeah, I was talking about like liquefaction events and plasma discharges. And those plasma discharges also, like, that's going to be huge. So we could consider that just basically volcanoes. I know we've seen things like La Palma and how that's affected things. But it's a pretty interesting time, man, because I think they're going to use these war narratives and a lot of this kind of shit to make that the point of attention, whilst nature is going through a lot of really horrible things. And everyone out there just needs to protect themselves. Like, you need to go somewhere that's a little safer. And I know that's impossible to really determine, but we're getting close, man. It's grand solar minimum. Shit's getting weird. Anyways, Inna Ash, I appreciate you showing up. Yeah, Wookiee Vision, I remember you from very early days. Bronco with the $2 super chat. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for supporting. Sending you lots of love. Somebody brought up the idea of Putin not being Putin. And yeah, a lot of these guys are just clones, man. They're wearing like sophisticated skin masks. They're like not even real people, man. They're all jackals, by the way. Like all these world leaders, that's like what that's their like species. They're jackals. When they start to shift, dimensionally shift, their teeth become like super jagged and sharp, like thumbtacks, and they have huge space in between their teeth. And you see that happen all the time, like with that French guy Macron or whatever his name is, and it's happened with Trudeau so many times. Like a lot of these people they put on the world stage to be like the face of a particular nation, they're all jackals, and they're all wearing skin masks. Like you could see it right at the cutoff of their neck. Like they're wearing a mask. That they're not real. And they shift on their teeth all the time, and their lips. Their lips and their teeth start to be the first things that the camera picks up through this dimensional shift that they go through. And it's just amazing. I've seen so much videos of shit like that. It's wild. It's heavily censored, though. Like, whenever those videos make it out and start surfacing, they shut down all those accounts. Alex Peregrino says, how could you be a successful producer without signing your soul away? Well, not just to speak on for music purposes, but just in all walks of life. Like when you become a content creator, when you become a creator, you need to get really good at developing like as much content as humanly possible and just putting it out there and vibe with your core community. Like a lot of the time what happens is people start collaborating with people that they don't vibrationally align with. That's like the biggest issue. Like if you're somebody who is working in music, or you're working in music, or you're working in movies, or perhaps you're a dancer and you're traveling the world doing ballet, whatever it is. If you're an artist, visual artist, if you start collaborating with people that don't actually align with your vision or align with you like vibrationally, where you can't have an open, honest, genuine, unique conversation with them, that's the biggest issue. So the idea of like selling your soul or signing your soul away, like this is a complicated concept. I feel like me and Logan should probably have a podcast about that idea, like what selling your soul is and like the concept behind it. I mean, we could totally talk about it a little more, but the biggest thing, if you want to grow your business or your platform or your brand or whatever, is you just have to be 110% yourself, Like when I was first doing this, I would like curse once in a while, and people would be like, I wish you didn't curse. And I'm like, dude, why are you telling me how to talk? Like, are you serious? Like that type of energy? Like, come on, So a lot of the time, though, what people do is when you're a content creator, you want to please everyone. You want to be a people pleaser, right? That's why a lot of YouTube channels, they do the same style, like thumbnails. They do the same titles. They all create the same videos and release them at the same time. If one person talks about this thing, they all talk about this thing. And they just keep going with the narrative over and over and over and over again. It's just like fucking mainstream media. It's the same shit, right? So that's not genuine. That's not unique. But if you just do something that you really vibrationally align with, and it's unique and it's 100% you, no one could copy your shit and no one could take advantage of you because you're doing you, right? A lot of people need to tap into that energy because too many people are trying to copy like they're not admitting their influences, and at the same time they don't want to, they like, I don't know, it's like very weird. It's hard to kind of explain. And I don't want to bring up any particular individuals, but it would be nice, for instance, for the Gematria community to come together more. And I think there's a big roadblock in why it's not going to be able to, but I'll leave it at that. Best way to answer that question, though, is instead of trying to become big, try to become well known, or become anything for that matter. Just try to create the stuff that makes you feel the best. Like if you make music or you make videos or you do whatever, if that content that you're generating makes you feel the best, then who the fuck cares what anyone else thinks? Who cares what any, producer thinks or anything like that? Like, it's irrelevant. When you just do whatever it is that you do 110%, it's going to be amazing. You're going to have people hate you even when you're doing great things. That's part of like being a creator. You're going to have people that, have something negative to say about you because that's it. That's just part of the ride. Wow, Mike is saying that he was here when the channel had 400 or 500 subs. Shit. Yeah, Jody's been here since the beginning. It's amazing. Just scrolling through some questions. Love Money says, speaking on journey numbers, I am 5. Do you mean life path? Not sure. RB says, did you listen to heavy metal growing up? No, when I grew up, I listened to Nirvana. I listened to a lot of salsa music because I have Puerto Rican blood in my family, and I grew up listening to a lot of hip hop because I'm from Brooklyn, New York, so I was always kind of surrounded by hip hop music. Grew up listening to like Nas and Wu-Tang Clan and that kind of stuff. But I started playing guitar and I pretty much learned like all the Nirvana songs, and then I just kind of went from there. I thought that stuff was really, I don't know why I resonated so much with that band in particular. It's kind of weird to think about it now. I was actually watching a Kurt Cobain documentary after I decoded Kurt Cobain just like really quickly for myself, just to see like if there was any connection there and so why I resonated with Nirvana at an early age. But yeah, I started to see his death was definitely by the numbers. Yeah, if anyone knows anyone who wants to send copyright-free visuals my way, go for it. My email's pretty easy to find. It would be great. I'll give them a shout out if they want to share the visuals for sure. Crypto KO, appreciate you. Donut Factory, I appreciate you showing up, brother. Sending you lots of love. Jack Paulo. Alejandro Hernandez says, let's get spicy. We will absolutely get spicy. Eleonora says, was indeed fantastic. The live stream with Ani listened to 3 times. That's beautiful. I appreciate you. Yeah, it's amazing that Mike before said that he's following since like 400 or 500 subscribers, and now we have like 400 people in the live stream. It's amazing. It's amazing to see that growth. Also, this is probably the worst time to do a live stream if you think about it for having people join on, because it's like a Friday at 5 p.m. In the East Coast, so that a majority of the people who watch my content are in the USA. So most people are like working right now, or they're on their commute home. But I can't do any later than 5 because sometimes these lately have been going for 3 hours. Actually, I took a screen cap of my last live stream. This is absolutely amazing. My last live stream was 3 hours, 6 minutes, and 40 seconds. And the live stream before that was the exact same amount of time, but it was like 49 seconds. So they were both 3 hours, 6 minutes, and 40 seconds. How is that even possible? To do 2 back-to-back live streams a week separated, and I end them at the same time. I don't have any timer, so I don't know like when they're ending or not. I'm literally like, I'm looking at my phone to read the questions, and I have my laptop just looking at this YouTube video. So it's really wild. Like sometimes when the more you study the code and the more you look at the code and decode, you just like tap into these numbers. It's wild. Somebody said that they're asking if the grid will go down anytime soon. Well, I mean, it depends on where you're at, right? Like if you're living somewhere with like really, really messed up weather and, you know, crazy weather patterns, then for sure, you could have some real bad weather. But, and that will make, you know, that'll potentially shut down your power in your particular area. So it's really hard. But I think when people think of like a global blackout, I don't know if we're anywhere near that. I think the next big event is probably April eclipse of 2024. That's probably like the next like huge. It's either this Shemitah sometime in September, October, November of this year, or it's the 2024 eclipse. That's like 9/11 event level type shit. So Alonso Vega with the 75. I don't know if that's Portugal. Appreciate you, brother. He says, I believe that we are experiencing the force that the strongest governments have over people and over countries. They're showing us how powerful they can be and how subdued we must be. Crypto is their weak point. You know, that's a really good point. And, you know, Alonzo, imagine, what is there, like 7 to 8, was there 7 billion people on the planet? I don't know. They could also just make that number up. But if everyone in the world just bought like $2 or $3 worth of crypto right now, like imagine what that would do to the, like, holy shit. Wow. Like, I don't know, like it's very easy for the people to take over this market, but they're scared of the market. They're always panic selling. They're always buying tops. They're always like, you know, they're just buying shit coins. So, I mean, this is why like people like us need to do what we're doing. Like just know the truth, share the truth, try to help as many people as possible, become sophisticated investors. And in this process, like people are going to be able to figure out the writing in between. A lot of people are really scared of this crypto market, and I believe you might be right in a sense that crypto is the government's weak point. But we have to remember that the Federal Reserve and the central banks are the ones who print the money. So when you have access to infinite printing, you're the one that could buy whatever you want, and all governments are given the green light to be able to buy whatever they want. So the Federal Reserve prints money, and then they're able to buy commodities and they're able to buy securities, and that's fucking fraud. But they legally do it, just like they illegally tax us. Like, how does that even make sense to tax people when you print money? It's the most backwards. And then you have people that you talk to, just normal people, and they defend taxes. They think it's sensible. They think that it goes towards paying school teachers' salaries. It's like, where the fuck did you learn that? It's not even true. There's no, they don't show us where they take our tax money and put it afterwards. They don't. It's like the least transparent system that's ever existed, but it's accepted, right? The whole fiat money thing is a scam. We know that. Quantitative easing. It's madness, but it exists and it is what it is. So Long Valley T with the 20 super chat. I appreciate you so much. Much love. Says question, the real new year starts on 3/20, so I'm wondering if March April is the same as September October, and thus the Shemitah ends at the month or at the end of March and the beginning of April. I mean, Libra is symbolically balanced. Okay, so great question. But Shemitah ends at the Rosh Hashanah that follows the initial Rosh Hashanah. So the time frame for Shemitah is from September 2021 till September 2022, and I believe it goes from new moon to new moon. So meaning the September new moon to the following September new moon, and then it has 6 years in between, and then on every 7th year it repeats that cycle, where again it will start on the September new moon, Rosh Hashanah, to the next September new moon, the following Gregorian year. So those Hebrew years are in between our Gregorian years. So that's how that works. As for the real New Year being in March, that has to deal with like before the Romans decided to parasite the whole planet and, pervert all the systems that we have today that are enslaving humanity. Not just the Romans, of course, the Greeks as well. But with that being said, the April idea is definitely interesting because it's leading up to the next eclipse we have, and we know that eclipses tend to be a very bullish point in the market, or they tend to be like a pivot point. So if we keep seeing this market down leading through this month, however long this takes to recover from, then we could actually pivot into the April eclipse and things might actually get bullish around that eclipse. So we have to see. But I appreciate your super chat. I should probably stay away from answering crypto questions or questions about the market before too many people ask me. I don't want to get lost in that. Also, Jody, or if anyone can repost the super chats for me if possible, because I feel like I'm losing some of them now. Brandy asks if I listen to Absol. Yeah, Absol's great. I love Absol's collab he did with Russ. I forgot what track that was, but it was like a mimic BET video from back in the day. I always used to watch those when I was younger. I would watch BET, and when they would do those like ciphers, the freestyles they did. I like how Russ redid that vibe. But yeah, Absol killed that. Absol's conscious for sure. I have a feeling Daylight might get signed to Top Dog, which would be... Daylight's one of my favorite rappers. So, that'd be wild. Oh, he's one of my favorite artists. I hate saying that word rappers. Or I dislike saying rapper. It's kind of demeaning. Absol, amazing artist. Well, in regards to plasma events or liquefaction of the earth, it'll probably be around coasts. So that would be places like California, Washington State, Oregon, especially like near Portland, perhaps Vancouver, Canada for North America. And then on the other side, it would be New York. I think New York might get hit by a tsunami probably, or some sort of massive flooding event in this year. But we'll see how that goes. Again, that's not to like spread any fear, but we all know New York City is kind of a parasitic wasteland anyways. But yeah, Florida's always going through what they're going through. So it's just par for the course. But I mean, this process of liquefaction of the land, it takes time. It's not just immediate. It does take some time. Overall, I think weather is just going to start dramatically changing, and that's why they're ramping up these chemtrails, because it's my theory that the chemtrails are being done, or the stratospheric aerosol injection is being done to prevent what's going on naturally, to prevent the inevitable, which is an ice age. And, them trying to slow down that process, it's going to fuck up things even worse, especially with the food supply. So, it's like a psyop that is intermingled within this Russian doll of other events. Like there will be less production of crops and food in general. So of course they want to create an issue with truckers and logistics. Of course they want to hike up gas prices in the energy sector. It's just how it goes. Ordo ab chaos. Order out of chaos. Jason Fish, sending you lots of love. I appreciate you. Jack asked me, who do I think would be the one who dies on the 7th of March, essentially. Well, I kind of gave out some hints in my last one. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Queen of England. I also wouldn't be surprised if it was Joe Biden. I wouldn't be surprised if it was perhaps one of the two going on in this Ukraine-Russia conflict. See, the hardest thing for me is I don't pay attention to mainstream like anything, So like I just rely on whenever people that are in my immediate circle share some names with me, share some people. But to be completely honest, I just really don't give too much of a shit like who's popular and who's a celebrity on the world stage. I don't really give that and much of my energy. I just do my decoding work and share it. And I think it's kind of fun to share that information with you guys. And then you could kind of come up with some people that you think might fit the bill. Rebecca Carrington, sending you lots of love. Rest in paradise to your kitty. That must be really heartbreaking. One of my mom's favorite cats just passed on 2 months ago, and yeah, it was really devastating. But we all know that this earth is the Matrix prison. It's the trap. Ascending out of this place must be the most beautiful experience. But I'm sending you lots of love because I know you know what I just said. Yeah, there is typically a lot of flooding in China. I know that they tried to pin down last year this idea that Bitcoin would like go to zero because of Chinese mining facilities flooding. And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? It's like every year somebody, particularly somebody who's like an altcoin maxi, who's like obsessed with one particular coin, has like a Bitcoin going to zero story. I love those. Because people think that I like Bitcoin. I don't care about any of this stuff. I don't hate it, don't date it. Just trade it. Like, you got to get out of the emotions. This is intangible coins. But I've watched people with this like altcoin maxi nonsense. They invest 100% of their portfolios into some speculative like 500 rank market cap shit, and then it loses 90% of its value, and then they're like mad. It's like, dude, well, you have to build a portfolio that actually is sensible and not based on the hope. Like Bitcoin and Ethereum, honestly, only Bitcoin is the one proven to have from start to today go through multiple cycles and maintain an uptrend the entire time. So why overthink things, you know? I showed this a couple times too with the Amazon chart, going back to the .com bubble. It's the same kind of thesis. It's like, we know that Amazon's a winner. So that would have been a solid dollar cost averaging strategy up until Bitcoin became part of the equation. You could have invested dollar cost average in Amazon since the .com bubble crash, throughout the entire crash, which took many years. And then what would that be, from 99 to 2000, like maybe 10? Wow, that's a huge time horizon, you know? And then once Bitcoin hit the scene, you could have just switched that to Bitcoin. And, you know, wow. Just imagine the accumulation of wealth that could have happened over all those years, putting small amounts of money into something. That type of mentality is what wins, you know? Like, if I could say anything about crypto and about investing right now, is like, people need to expand on their time horizon for their investment thesis. There's way too many people that want to get rich yesterday. This is why, like, when I release my exit strategy blueprint upcoming this week, I'm putting a lot of words of wisdom in regards to mindset. Because the biggest issue right now that I see with people is they're too focused on financial freedom and not financial security. Financial freedom is, I'll quickly say this, and I know it might pierce some people's hearts, but financial freedom is, like, seriously a hoax. It's a psyop. The only freedom that you really need is conscious freedom. Like, that's it. Once that shit's taken care of, everything else falls into place. It's very simple. You want to have a free mind. A free mind can generate anything. It's infinite because it's tapped into the oneness of infinite consciousness. You don't want financial freedom. You want financial security. Somebody that's focused on financial security is within the process. People that want financial freedom are existing in their outcome. And they're so focused on their outcome that they do tons of greedy shit all the time. If anyone knows about, like, American football, what I think of when I think of the idea of financial freedom is people who want to throw Hail Marys. They're just always throwing Hail Marys. They're always trying to fucking, you know, go for home runs. If you're always trying to go for home runs, you're not playing the game right. Like, you want to get a lot of base hits, right? You just always want to be, you never want to strike out. But the problem is when you're trying to go for home runs all the time, your likelihood of striking out is way more probable. And nobody learns their lesson. And this is like gambling. People need to step away from that. And a big trick for me that's helped is get away from financial freedom and focus on financial security. Because financial security is the now. It's the process. It's not the outcome. You know that you're already free because you've tapped in to infinite consciousness. That is how you overcome this. So Jack is saying that he used to work in photography in Montreal, and he shooted a political campaign and did one on Trudeau. And when he zoomed in, he saw that his teeth were all rotten. Yeah, because that's not his real teeth aren't holding form. He's a jackal. It's not like a shapeshifter, like it's different. That yes, they're technically shifting dimensions, but they're not like what David Icke says, where they become like taller and they start getting scaly. Like it's different. They're phase shifting. They're becoming non-physical, okay? And in this process of becoming non-physical, they're taking on a form that where the camera that we're using, it can't keep up with that bandwidth of frequency, okay? Just like you can't see the way a bumblebee sees is the same thing that's going on here with a camera, like how green screens work, right? So think of it like that. Whilst they're shifting, they're becoming non-physical. And in this process of, because they're already captured by a draconian sort of consciousness, that's why they're acting and behaving the way that they do. They're not human like you are. They don't have empathy and compassion. Yeah, so Crypto KO says the same thing, that Trudeau's teeth were peg-like and gappy. Yep. So you see what I'm saying? It's the same thing on that guy Macron and this Boris Johnson guy and this Joe Biden and Donald Trump. They're all jackals. Richard Nixon was a jackal. They're all jackals. They put those particular people in the face of power because they are not full-blown reptilian shapeshifters. They can't put those people in front of cameras too often because they can't hold form anymore. So the people they put in front of the camera are jackals. And even they don't get in front of camera too much. Because the camera technology that we have, like it notices these glitches that they have. And it's because they're phase shifting to non-physical. And cameras could pick up some of this phase shift. That's what's so sophisticated about the whole thing. Like, it's pretty wild to see. And it happens in Hollywood movies too. It's also pretty interesting because a lot of these actors are mixed blood too. I don't know how we got talking about this. Is this my first time ever talking about jackals? I'm just thinking about, like, how did we start talking about this? That's funny as hell. Anyways, I love all of y'all. I appreciate all of y'all. It's all love. We're just having fun tonight, man. David Wallachok says, with the grand solar minimum, do you think the elite know what's happening and are using this as a huge soul harvest? Yeah, so David, I absolutely think that the apex predators do know what's to come because of this looking glass technology that exists at the Vatican and a couple of other places. I believe like NASA and CERN are probably huge fronts for looking glass technology, or the technology to be able to look into alternate timelines. Not necessarily this current timeline, but how they could simulate events or tabletop exercise particular events to be able to see what's the outcome based on that event, like a literal simulation. So with that being said, yes, David, I think they know. And I think that the Bible is their playbook. Like the actual normal Bible that most people can get their hands on. I think that is their playbook that they utilize. And that is, again, it's a perfect plan because you get everyone into raw religion, into sun worship, and then you give them the book that tells them the truth of how this all comes to its climax, but you don't have them understand the knowledge because they've externalized all of their power to some deity that, you know where it goes after that. But the point that I'm making is that whatever we're getting in Revelation or in these like end time prophecies, I believe these are sort of the analogical, like their analogy in a sense, but they will sort of come to this reality and manifest in a way that could be similar. But again, it's always deeper than that, right? Because those Bible decoders out there, you've probably seen that just by looking at the Gematria and some of the numbers and some of the connections that you can make with that. It's way more analogous and way deeper than what you're getting on the surface. I mean, even Genesis in the Bible is mind-blowing when you decode it, when you actually see what the words are saying. But it takes an extreme, amount of dedication and base knowledge to be able to read that book properly. So yes, I do think they know what's to come, and I think that's why they did the entire C-word agenda. The entire C-word agenda was to get their puzzle pieces in place before they put us into the new world. And a lot of people are not going to be able to keep up with this new world Like, we're going to have a good time talking about this, okay? Because this is a massive conversation, and what David brought up is important. So here's the way I'm projecting all of this. Mother Nature is not happy anymore. She's going to recycle her skin like a snake. And in this recycling event, we will have a lot of different things happen that we've never seen before, even in the skies. Oh, wait 1 second. Am I getting it's a super chat, says, let's talk about teleportation since you expressed doubt in space travel. Dune books. I don't know. My super chats are moving way too fast. So if somebody could just take a note of them, I'd appreciate that. I feel like I'm missing those people's chats because there's a lot of people coming in. I'm sure someone's caught those. But anyways, yeah, so the way that I'm projecting this to look is Mother Nature's changing whilst it's starting its plasma discharges and liquefaction events and, excessive floods. During this whole process, they need to have people, they need to give people a plan B. And the plan B will be metaverse. It'll be some sort of virtual reality technological answer to the solution. But before we fully get there will need to be a solution for the ever increasing cost of goods and energy, etc. So people will be priced out of their ability to afford life, right? And it'll put everyone into like a universal, not everyone, but you know what I'm saying. The people who weren't prepared for this shit, it's going to put a lot of those individuals into a universal basic income system. So it's stages. There's stages to this. I think we're already in that process where they've shown the world like, hey, we can shut down whenever we want. And now they need to kind of take a break because people are starting to wake up and get kind of frustrated. They're not waking up in the way that's helpful. They're waking up in a way that's useful enough to put this pandemic on a pause. Damn, I mean, it's deep. It's so crazy to have to articulate such a grandiose idea. But what I'm saying right now is not immediate, guys. It's something that could take until 2030. So it's a process that leads us into what's called Agenda 2030. I personally think that when it's going to get spicy is the 2024 eclipse. That's what I see. Between now and then, it might not be that rough. Oh, I see Decoding with Cody. Appreciate you, brother Cody. Much love, my man. Says, what is that? The 7/22/1944 Bretton Woods to March. Is that June 3rd? I don't know the way you're writing this date. I think it's June 3rd. Is 2,800 or 28,351, which is the 3,087th prime. Damn, man, you writing what? I feel like I'm drunk right now trying to read this. I'm having a good time, y'all. Much love, Cody, but I don't speak Spanish. I got a lot of love for you, brother. Thank you. He says, yeah, that's a hell of a string of numbers you shared, man. But I appreciate your insights. That 77-year connection. I think I was talking about Bretton Woods and the 77-year connection maybe back in May or June, actually. I think I even talked about it on the first live stream that I ever did with Coach JV. We were talking a little bit about the Bretton Woods meeting and some of those connections. So that's awesome that you made that connection as well. You should probably go back and watch that interview. I was probably talking about that stuff too back around that time. That 77 is massive. somebody brought up something about the jab creating heart failure. Well, yeah, I mean, it's thickening the blood. So, but come on, man. Like, how do people. Like, how many times does your government and your TV need to lie to you before you wake up? Like, how many times does it take? Seriously. Like, when have these jackals told us the truth? Come on. Come on. Come on. These guys are like master comedians. You know, at the end of the day, like, Hillary Clinton is like cackling somewhere. She sounds like the Wicked Witch of the West. Whatever says 20 Mexican pesos. Appreciate you. Sending you lots of love. Says, when will ICE 9 happen? Global bank freeze. You know, I mean, I would not be surprised if banks having some issues at the end of Shemitah. So probably like September, October, November of this year. I would not be surprised. I don't think it's going to happen, though, like in the Eurozone or in... It's going to happen in like isolated instances, and it's going to be enough to generate some fear. And the design of the digital dollar token will look like. I want to know your thoughts. I think it's going to have Joe Rogan's face on it. You think it's going to have Joe Rogan on it? Or what about Alex Jones? Think it'll be Alex Jones on the digital dollar? Maybe on the back of the digital dollar there'll be an upside down pyramid, all seeing eye. 2020 Cool Cat says, check out Cambada. So I actually have reached out to Cambada, and he his people wrote back to me, but they never fully went through with connecting. So shout out to Cam. I tried getting in contact with him, but I'm not gonna bother the guy. I sent one email, that's good enough, and his people never got back. But I honestly feel like my platform now might be bigger than his platform. So it might be advantageous for him because he's super like intelligent and amazing at what he does, and it seems like he's not going the route of the normal music industry, and I really respect that. And I think a collaboration with my channel would be advantageous for him because I think a lot of people in my community would vibe with what he's doing. And I don't know, but maybe he's busy. But I reached out to him during the pandemic, so I highly doubt, like there was not many shows going on and touring. But yeah, maybe he just wasn't interested. It's all good. And I appreciate everyone's super chats. I got a super chat from Based Louie. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. $50 super chat. Send you lots of love. Says, what is the link between the industry, magic, and homosexuality? Is it as simple as holding something embarrassing or fearful over someone's head? Are we all a little gay? Oh shit! The way you worded that definitely made me. That's gonna make me laugh all night. Says, what would the world stage benefit from a emasculation agenda? Oof. Well, you're right. The goal of this whole thing was to basically go through a stage of making women property for 100 years, and then now they're flipping the script and making men girly girls. And that was the whole that's part of the entire agenda, because these jackal people, whatever they are, these jackal entities, these apex predators, they're not they don't have the same sexual reproductive organ system that we have. They are all hermaphroditic, and this is their vibe anyways. So, I mean, it just kind of is what it is, you know? But to answer through this industry side of things, it's part of what's called a humiliation ritual. So if somebody really truthfully is heterosexual and they're in the industry, they're going to make them wear dresses and make them do all this shit because it's humiliation, and it's part of the kind of like it is part of the initiation of getting through fraternities. So this is one of many, many crazy things they do. I mean, this isn't even that bad. And one of the things that they seek in most industries that are celebrity, famous people, etc., is actual homosexuals. And I'm like, this isn't judgment at all. Like, I'm not against any person's sexual preference at all. That's not what I'm stating. I'm just answering based Louis' question, right? Just want to lay that out there. With that being said, it's just part of the humiliation ritual. It's part of being initiated into fraternities or sororities. Essentially, once you start to demoralize humanity and you pervert people and turn around at a 360 degree all of the things that they naturally have a desire for, you could completely ideologically subvert them to start behaving in a way that you could control. So this is where brainwashing comes into play. So it's so deep. If you could control someone on a sexual level, you could essentially control every aspect of their entire existence. And that's why when you start to study cults and the way they operate, one of the number one things that the cult leader will do is start to break you down to control you in that particular way. And I mean, anyone who studies cults knows this, right? And of course, there's way more nefarious things going on, but this is one of the properties of mind control and controlling the body. And also, here's another big piece of it, right? By doing these sorts of rituals and by controlling humanity in this particular way, it keeps humanity in the lower chakras. It keeps them focused on sexuality. It keeps them like obsessed with it, okay? This is why they, like, all the women now that we see have like huge asses and like they just look like aliens, you know, like people like Kim Kardashian and these. And I'm not, like, again, this is no disrespect. I'm just pointing out the obvious here. Women don't even know what good looking women looks like anymore because men have been completely brainwashed into thinking that this woman who has had all this plastic surgery and, you know, lip fillers and ass implants is like, that's what the ideal woman is. And that's not true at all. At the same time, we have so many other agendas going on at play with men, which comes back to what you just said, where you have men that are like waxing their eyebrows and their legs and, you know, they look like they're wearing more makeup than the girls. And it's like, then they talk about like being metrosexual or whatever the fuck. Like, again, if that's what you're into, then fantastic. But the agenda here is clearly at play. And it started to kind of culminate around the Obama years. And I mean, it's pretty obvious. Michael Obama was his husband. And that guy slipped up on that so many times. And that was when they were pushing the entire world into that agenda of, you know, basically like bathroom signs being a big deal, marriage being a bit like all of that shit. It all became top priority. And now we don't really hear about it as much as we used to because now is a totally different agenda. So it's just a generational agenda. And I think, like, you know, it's kind of hard to answer this question thoroughly. Of course, it's like 4 different questions in one, but the entire agenda in and of itself is very simple, Louis. It's that if you get the most famous people, the influencers on the world stage, if you get them to act like this and to dress like this and to perpetuate these ideas, it will influence a lot of people into wanting to follow along with that agenda, right? So this is why, like, when they came out with the polio vaccine, they had Elvis come out on live TV and take the shot. What did they just do with the C word? They did the same thing. They bring out their influencers and they go accordingly to the plan because those influencers don't have any freedom. They're actually more enslaved than all of us are, believe it or not, because they have to do all of what they're doing contractually. because they sold their soul for whatever it is that, whatever the transactional thing was. So, it's deep. B-Goat, appreciate your super chat. Send you lots of love. Said he's been drinking distilled for the past 3 months. High vibes. Sending high vibes back to you. I have to turn on this light over here. Oh man, these images are making me like losing my mind. Okay, we have 500 people up in here. I appreciate all of y'all. Sending lots of love. Pause this video. Top things for physical detox. Dry fasting, pranayama, sun gazing, mudras, color therapy, creating things. Like, seriously, like just playing music for a couple hours a day, just painting for a couple hours a day. It's that simple. That will start to literally physically detoxify yourself. Because remember, what detoxification truthfully is removing blockages, removing the obstacles for your body to be able to optimally perform. So what are we doing all day? We're consuming. But when you create a lot, you actually remove the obstacles. Think about this, right? Every day when you wake up in this world, you want to provide so that you could receive. If you only receive, if you're only someone who's consuming and you're not creating, then you're going to create those blockages. So that's a huge mental thing to practice, right? But when it comes to the quickest way to physically detoxify yourself, it would be through dry fasting. And please do not just go straight into dry fasting. Like, learn how to properly fast. I talk about it quite often in my live streams. Oh, man. Stop with this Trump clownery. Get out of here with that. Get out of here. For people learning that Trump is a jackal is like having their Christ crucified. It's like equivocal. So sad, dude. So sad how much fucking energy people give this shill. Move on. Move on from these politicians, guys. Seriously. The only one who's saving anyone is you. There's no one saving you here. No one's gonna drain the swamp. That's all bullshit. Fucking wake up, create, be your best self. Don't worry about any of these politicians. They're all on the same team together. They're all playing golf together. They're all smoking cigars together. It's fucking theater. I just want every person who's like that to get as far away from what I'm doing as humanly possible. Need like bug spray. You ever like you guys ever deal with that? You're ever like at doing life and just like a human mosquito lands on you? You know what I'm talking about, guys? Just a human mosquito. And then they land on you and they're like, you could feel them sucking your blood and you're like, ugh, fucking get away. I don't care about QAnon. You know what I mean? Just human mosquitoes, man. Can they just... My God. What's that? Is it like a praying mantis? Is that the thing that eats mosquitoes? We need to get more we need to get more praying mantises. Who is that guy? I think Jody shared this individual with me. The guy that discovered AIDS allegedly, and then he recently came out with a quote saying that like if you've gotten 2 boosters, you should go get tested for HIV or AIDS, and then go sue your government. And then he ended up dying like 2 weeks after he said that. Who was that individual? Maybe I think Jody will know who I'm talking about. You guys will probably know who I'm talking about. Somebody said that 2024 2025 is the end of Kali Yuga. So like I mean, yeah, that's like open-minded and great and all, but like we don't know the actual year. Like we don't know. Kali Yuga is a really long time horizon, and we don't actually know. We just don't. All time has been rewritten by the Vatican. And because of many mud floods and many humanity wipeouts, we don't actually know what year it is. We're just working with the best we got. There's always like every year there's some type of person trying to say that it's the end of the world. It's nice and all, but it's hard to pinpoint when things will come to this climax. I think the way it's going to go out is with the sun exploding. And that came from many, many visuals that I've seen, but I don't think it's anytime soon. Trust me, if the world was ending soon, we would all right now, we wouldn't have internet. We would all be like eating dirt. Trust me. The whole world would be fucked. Because whoever's controlling this system, they would have off-realmed a long time ago. They would have went underground, hid away. They wouldn't let any of this shit continue. But they are, because they need us, because we're their energy source. We're their juice. So don't give them the juice. Somebody said that everyone around them is asleep. It's so sad. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think a lot of us go through that, like, for sure. A lot of us have to deal with our loved ones, even our significant others, being not so with it. But remember, like, what that tells you is that you're tapped into a special frequency. Like, you're tapped into something that's high octane, that's rare. And with that being said, like, when you tap into that vibration, you have to let go of all of this, like, hope that everyone else will be on your level, you know, like, because you're not designed with the same mechanics and the same technology as everyone else. But maybe we're the ones who are asleep, right? Like, maybe we're the ones who are actually, like, we're just awake to the fact that we're asleep. Like, I've said this many times. I think we're all dreaming. Like, I think we're all just in a big cosmic dream. And when you quote unquote die from this body and the soul detaching, when you get to that place, during that process, you probably actually quote unquote wake up. So, I mean, it's pretty interesting. And the only reason I'm saying this is because everything else is backwards, right? Like, everything they teach us, if they teach us that the world is going to, like, start getting hotter, that means that the world's going to start getting colder. It's like everything they teach us is the opposite, right? So I try to pay attention to that. Sorry, I'm reading questions. I might be, like, jumping around. I have to lower my... Yeah. So Jaja with the 20 super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. It says 9 years ago I lost my wife and received a life insurance payout. Well, sending you high vibes. I know that loss must be devastating. Says not having to work or challenge myself ever since has become a curse. I never found my passion and am incredibly unfulfilled and unmotivated. Advice. Hmm. You know, that's really difficult. That's really difficult to answer because you need to find something that actually fulfills you. You have to find something that's creative that fulfills you. Something that when you're doing it, you actually just, like, your whole day stops. All of your thoughts stop. All of your ideas come to a pause because you're actually feeling something. A lot of the issue with modern man is we're so numb to our devices. We're numb to other people's opinions. We're numb to all the stuff that's going on around us. So this idea of being unfulfilled and unmotivated, the one way that I've been able to kind of get out of that rabbit, like, to get out of that hole, is to be physically active, create as much as possible, and to consume creation that makes me feel amazing. So that could be something as simple as listening to music that I really love. And when I'm doing that, I try to not, like, look at my phone. I don't look at, like, my, you know, my computer screen. I just shut my eyes and I listen to the art. And I just really try to be present while I'm listening to it. But working out and fasting in particular could be very life-changing for people when it comes to pushing themselves to something that they've never felt before. And that, again, it removes a lot of the roadblocks and it makes you capable once again. So, for instance, I've done, like, multiple 2 to 3 day dry fasts where you essentially don't eat or drink anything for multiple days. I've done 2 3 day dry fasts. And when I got to day 3, I didn't care pretty much about anything anymore. I almost felt like I didn't exist. And during that feeling of not existing, I didn't worry anymore about anything really. I didn't worry about like what would happen at work. I didn't worry about paying the bills. I didn't worry about much of anything. And whilst that could be problematic for some people because people think that that's the kind of stuff that motivates them to do things, it actually cleaned the slate for me, and it allowed me to perform better, and it allowed me to be like kind of like reflect back to myself and say like, oh shit, you know, like I don't actually like the things that I'm doing. I don't like the people that I'm communicating with. I don't like the choices I'm making. Like I was able to actually slow myself down and be more aware, like self-aware. And in that process, I was able to kind of like have a reboot. Like it was like a restart, if you will. And yeah, it sounds like you're ready for like a fast. It sounds like you're ready for a pause. You want to give your body a pause. During those times, it might be a struggle. You know, you might get hungry. You might like start thinking about food. You might start thinking about, you know, dramatic stuff, things that could induce some anxiety or stress. But you're going to see once you get to like day 3, you're not going to have the time or the energy anymore to give those lower vibrational feelings any of your energy. They're not going to exist for you anymore because you're going to tap into something that's way more like natural. It's how you should truthfully feel, which is present. Remember, all the negativity is yesterday and tomorrow. And most people are addicted to yesterday or tomorrow. Tomorrow is the anxiety and the stress, and yesterday is the trauma. And we're trapped in those two faculties. And we spend way too much time in those two places. Whilst we're there, we're stretched thin, and we're unable to be in this now, in this present moment. And you're going to see what I mean, because when you get to that ability, when you can unlock that ability, food is going to taste better. Conversations with people are going to feel better. Sleep is going to be better. Sex is going to be better. Food's going to be, like, everything's going to be better. Because you're actually aware of what the fuck you're doing. So people's minds are so caught up in, you know, what's to come next, that they'll be with their children or their like a person they love, and they're not even actually enjoying the moment they're having with that person, because their mind is always like in another timeline. You can tap into your passion when you don't worry about the obstacles, right? Got to remove those obstacles. The obstacles are worrying too much about things that aren't even existing in the now. Ian says, I seen Willow Smith a few days ago looking like a dude at the taco spot. Oh, shit. AR, I appreciate you. Yeah, I don't smoke. I don't smoke anything. No smoke in my lungs. Somebody's asking me a little bit more about like what I was trying to expose with the question that Louis asked me about the sexuality thing. And here's what it all adds up to, plain and simple. It's just the transhumanist agenda. That's all it is. That's really what this is all about. It's go check out Yuri Bezmenov. He talks about the destabilization of a nation, talking about demoralization and ideological subversion and the techniques done by the KGB and CIA through MK Ultra and MK Ultra on the celebrities and the influencers, which are the same. But once those people are completely mind controlled, then they can be programmed in their subconscious to be influencers to influence and reprogram your subconscious. And once this keeps going, it creates multi-generational worship over people because they have money or fame or they look good. And this is what's been going on since pretty much the dawn of time. So it's that influencer stuff, you know? Like when you are paying attention to anyone who could be influential, you always need to ask yourself, is this transmission resonating with me? Is this something that resonates with me? Is this something that makes me feel like I'm taking something away from it? And if the answer is yes, then continue. Vibe with it, just like you would with a song you like or food you enjoy eating or whatever it is. The issue here is that they've manipulated and made everything so factual, and in this process of being so, what's the word I want to use? I mean, I think factual is like the perfect kind of way. Like, it's just through science was a great way to do this, you know? Like, how do they rip spirituality away from people? Well, they give you science. And now we've seen what that's done to the world over the last couple of years. You could literally show people the receipts, like the facts of what these jabs will do to people, and people will still just go and get it. They don't give a shit. They don't even think of it as a risk. But then when it comes to investing $20 of their paycheck into some investments, they consider that a risk. You know, it's like their priorities are all like distorted. I think we were talking about like credit cards on the last live stream and how like everyone has that backwards. Dustin says, speaking of the teeth, why do you think pro-meat eaters think our teeth and jaws were designed for flesh? They clearly aren't. Yeah, I mean, obviously they aren't. We have a herbivore jaw, and we don't even have the proper gut microbiome, or we don't have the proper pH of our digestive fluids in order to, you know, consume raw flesh like a true carnivore would. So, I mean, but that's just basic shit. Like, I mean, the basic thing to talk about in regards to that is just the length of the digestive system. Look at the length of the digestive system of a lion, and look at the length of the digestive system of a human being. I mean, there's so many discrepancies here. But I mean, just the basic thing on human beings is we're the only species that cooks our food. And we're the only species that truthfully has food choice. I mean, the only other species that has food choice is like pigeons who live in a city. Like, they could fly over to the garbage can near the Taco Bell, then they could fly over to the dumpster behind the donut shop. They'll fucking eat whatever, right? But, you know, animals in the wild, they don't have food choice, and they eat one type of food that works with their digestive system. We're the only animal that purposefully goes against our digestive system in all ways, shapes, and forms. But I mean, it's not just the jaw or the teeth, Dustin. It's the length of our digestive system. It's the salival pH. It's digestive enzymes. None of that works with raw flesh, or the ability to actually absorb the minerals or any of the phytonutrients, if there is any. And it's not even because of the flesh, it's because of what the animal consumed. I mean, so there's so many ways to go through that, but the digestive system length is the biggest problem with supporting any arguments with consumption of flesh. Terra137, absolutely. Shivambu. Congrats, Daniel Leo, on your 48-hour fast. Amazing. Looks like a lot of people in here actually are on fasts or just getting off of fasts. So that's beautiful. Congrats to all of you guys. Justin, you keep asking about Costa Rica. I don't know what's going on in Costa Rica. I have a friend who was just in Costa Rica. She said that it looked and felt like, it was okay for now. But she was only there for a couple weeks, and it wasn't like she wasn't a resident. So, I mean, in regards to my personal experiences in Costa Rica, I've never been there, so I can't answer for myself. I don't really have too many clients who live over there. I don't really hear anything great about it either. But I do know they are pretty much the most first world when it comes to that part of the world. Out of all the countries, believe it or not, Costa Rica's number one export is baseballs for the Major League Baseball Association, and their average wealth across society is not as low as other surrounding nations. So they're doing a little bit better than some other places. Huge tourist destination. But I do remember seeing things such as like QR codes being, needed for specific things. I don't know necessarily. I don't think flights, depending on what country you're coming from. But yeah, I mean, who knows? I don't know if Costa Rica is going to make it through when it comes to safety regarding massive, hurricane winds and that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure they're not going to be a viable place for safety. Joe Fakiro says, you believe QAnon is the Fed? No, I think it's the Pentagon. It's the CIA. It's, yeah. It's the American government. It's American intelligence. And they're just piggybacking off of the same tactics that are used by all other intelligence. All intelligence in the world is working together in harmony. There's no such thing as like a Russian spy coming and like fucking up America. Like they're all a big team. All of the ideas of like us against them kind of shit is nonsense. It's always been. KGB and CIA have always been the same thing, working together since day one. God, where's Ani at? Can we get Ani in here to just like end this Q nonsense for good? Can't believe people still believe this shit. Holy moly. When me and Ani were on the phone the other day, like literally we got to a point in the conversation, and I'm only saying this because we just talked about it on the last interview too, but the last podcast, excuse me. And I was asking him, like, do people still believe this Q thing? And he was like, oh yeah, dude, of course they do. And I just started laughing so hard. Like I was like crying laughing. That's how silly. Wow. I mean, just, I seriously don't even know what to say. Somebody give Chris McCarty a hug. He needs it. Okay, so I'm seeing the name of the doc now that we were talking about before. The one who, yeah, okay. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Jody. Yes, I remember now. How's everyone doing tonight? Wonder how long have we been going? Almost 2 hours. Oh, it's okay if you can't copy and paste the chats, Jody. It's all good. I appreciate you trying to help. No worries. Whatever says, so why do they want to destroy, get rid of Christians? Is their vibration high? They don't want to destroy anyone, man. They need food. They need food. You know what type of food they love? The one with the most fear. See, the thing with the Christians is they have spellcasted themselves into this idea that there's a second coming and that Jesus Christ is like their Lord and Savior, this white guy who's actually just a picture of Caesar Borgia, who's the son of a pope. Again, the pope being from the Vatican, which is a pedophilia ring that has been going on since the dawn of time. I mean, but through this belief system, they actually think that it's going to save them and it's positive and they're not scared. They're not scared of death because Jesus Christ and heaven and all of these ideas. That's not as fearful as the elites like it. The elites like their fear on a silver platter. So they're not trying to destroy Christians or is like people who practice, the Islamic faith or Jews. They're not, none of that matters to them. They just love their zombies full of fear. But they don't want you guys dead. They don't want anyone dead. They need food. Just like any animal needs its food. Like we eat fruits and vegetables, lions eat hyenas, and Rothschilds eats human babies. Like, you guys know that truth. They love fear. They love very pure fear, and they love fear that has given a lot of its time to continually choosing fear. They love like a 60-year-old that is still scared to die of a virus. That's like prime meat. That's been like aged. It's like aged beef. Like, I know you've never heard anyone say that before, but it's facts. They like their fear pure or they like it aged. Susie says, what is your passion? My passion is making music and cooking and speaking my truth to the universe and making art of all forms. I draw, I write, I do writings. I wouldn't call it poetry necessarily. I make a couple beats every day. I make a couple guitar lines every day. I'm always trying to make like new creative food that I've never made before. Always challenging myself. Yeah. I'm just passionate about existing, I'm passionate about life. Passionate about life. Passionate about living. Although I wouldn't mind ascension. Some days I'm just like, is a comet ever going to hit this planet? Of course, because comets don't exist. Comets are a Hollywood production. Decoding what Cody says, bro, have you seen Rupert Spira Non-Duality? No, I have not. Share that with me, though. I appreciate your super chat, Cody. Much love, brother. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Vicky says my full name aligns with Wednesday, and I was born on Wednesday. That's my baby red pill today. That's cute. So Wednesday is miércoles, which is Mercury. So you might have some ties to Mercury or merchandise or commerce, which, you could start to look deeper into the astrology, look deeper into your name. See if anything for you aligns with Mercury or Hermes or Caduceus or the firmament, because those are all things that are very important. Because the firmament domain, within the firmament domain, we are the drones, and Mercury is Queen Bee. Within the firmament, Mercury, Quicksilver, fucking shit up. Like, if you really, really, really want to do this matrix right, you gotta meet up with Mercury, give that boy a hug, say, what's up, fella? What's in store for me in this lifetime, in this Matrix video game? And Mercury's gonna be like, you gotta do this, gotta do that. You say, okay, Mercury. You figure that out, you'll be straight. Saturn and Jupiter, they're a whole other ball game. Got to get that Mercury shit fixed. Then you'll be ready for Venus, for love and wisdom. That's a tough one, though. Love is really the energy that unlocks all things. It really allows that pineal gland, which is Saturn, to stop slowing you down. Once you get on that love vibrational frequency, Saturn will stop slowing you down. And then the crown chakra, the crown of thorns will get placed on your dome, your free dome. That's it right there. That's the ticket. Take notes. Mercury rules this domain, which is separating the waters above from the waters below. You are of the waters through your mother's womb. She's the womb man. Brings you into this matrix prison. You become a prism, can shine the light through you like a crystal. Figure out what Mercury's got in store for you. AKA, have 1 foot in the matrix, 1 foot out. Get those finances fixed. You do that with love. You relinquish fear. Get that Venus taken care of. Saturn will stop slowing you down, then you'll get your crown of thorns. Cheat code right there, guys. Heard it here first. Sending you lots of love, Raleigh, over to Melbourne, Australia. Sending love to all my Australian wolves in the house. Appreciate all y'all. The Dr. Kelly Show, fruit absolutely has the highest frequency. But that's because it contains the waters. So that's one thing, right, Dr. Kelly? Fruit contains the waters, and the living waters, not dead water. It contains the living waters, and that water feeds you interstitially, and that's very important. But furthermore, there's also a huge use case for herbs. But the thing about the herbs is you need to have a protocol of living water as well. So a lot of the time when people are trying to heal, they're super dehydrated, like super dehydrated. And then they have these herbs or these barks or whatever it is that they're trying to utilize, and they're lacking waters, and their ability to actually make its way to be utilized by the body is nearly impossible. So they piss a lot of it out. And because their kidneys are damaged and their lymphatic system is damaged, it's really difficult for them to actually utilize this true medicine, the medicine of Mother Nature. But you don't really even need a lot of that once you get truthfully hydrated. Excuse me. A lot of us are in a state of dehydration. So that's where fruit comes into play. Like, it fixes, I mean, honestly, modern man, it fixes all of their problems. Hydration is key. And people think they're going to get hydrated with water. It's like, it's backwards. It's all backwards, guys. Like, plain water doesn't hydrate you. Like, you just have a belly full of water, and then you're going to pee out that belly full of water. Like, you don't want to put stuff in and then it all goes away. You want to actually feed the cells, and you want the cells to hang on to what you're giving them. Let's restart that stream. That was some dope visuals. Somebody asked, do I follow Dr. Robert Morse? I paid attention to Dr. Robert Morse probably 8 or 9 years ago. But if I really had to talk about who inspired me the most when it comes to the way that we consume, it would be the great Arnold Ehret, the mucusless diet. Yeah, bacon is literally filled with parasites. You're literally eating, yeah, whatever. All right, no food talk, because there's just the lowest level human beings. The mosquitoes really start to swarm you when you talk about food, right? I love when somebody says vegan food. like, you mean food? like, oh my goodness. Yo, whoever's out there consuming fruit and meat together, you're the dumbest. You're taking the slowest digesting possible thing and combining it with the fastest digesting thing. Just take a moment to think about that. It's like taking a fucking Lamborghini and removing the engine and putting in like a your lawnmower's engine. Dumb dumb. God, it needed to be said. See, the people that have the most to say about diet are the ones that are the least informed in just vibrational frequency and how this realm actually operates. They lack oneness with Mother Nature, truthfully. And they think very logically, which is easy to do when we have so much information. We're in the information age. And whilst we're living in our mind, we're separated from our hearts. And when we're separated from our heart, that's when we take on free will, and that's when we make all of our mistakes. People need to stop labeling themselves. Stop labeling yourself as a vegan or you're heterosexual or you're a Muslim or you're a Christian, or just stop labeling yourself. You're limiting yourself so much. You don't get like extra like ticks on the board when you die because you decided to be the best vegan or whatever, or the best football player or the best. None of that shit matters. Just be in tune with your life. You don't need any label. But you can see the chat. Once you start talking about this particular topic, it always runs off the rails. Badhead3736 sending you lots of love. Appreciate you. So Susie, you keep bringing up blood type, but the blood is not it's not necessarily the only part of the conversation. The lymphatic system is a huge part of the conversation. It's left out of most people's conversation because it's not taught at all in most diet books or even in, standard education when it comes to dietitians, nutritionists. Pretty much no one is talking about lymphatic system. And all of the literature out there that's done in laboratories is pretty much done on the blood. You might see some data like when it comes to salival pH and some data when it comes to like the gut microbiota. But even the gut microbiota, it's almost impossible to really determine what's going on because it's like multiple quadrillion cells. Like it's think about it. How could we possibly know all about something like that? The goal isn't to know about any of that stuff, though. Like, you don't need to be truthfully aware. All we have to do is just point to why we have most of the illnesses that we have in the world, and we can see the correlation. It's clear as day. You are what you eat. Lisa says you couldn't be vegan in Alaska or many climates. Vegans love grocery stores. That is... Are you aware that all vegan food actually comes out of the ground? See, the problem isn't being vegan in Alaska. The problem is living in Alaska. There's a reason why so few people on this planet live there. It's not designed for human beings to live. There's no sunlight. Such an interesting form of logic. My goodness. HB. Oh, love money. I love you. Appreciate you. HB, I appreciate you so much. Said, I know people still waiting for Nasara Jasara or however you spell it. You spelled it correctly. It's like an acronym, by the way. Says, every time I talk to them, I feel like they are a robot or in a cult. Talk about how those people got involved with that, or is that too boring? Well, I could do my best to answer that. I pretty much think that a couple of talking heads in this particular QAnon psyop have continued to perpetuate such an idea because it's very hopeful. It allows people to do things, frivolously with their money because they believe that someday they're going to wake up and their bank account's going to be filled with all the debts that were taken from them. And it's very interesting, particularly this individual, Charlie Ward. And so Charlie Ward has done his job for sure. And I don't know how deep it could get, but pretty much it's just about this idea that there'll be a forgiveness of debts and that there'll be a new quantum financial system, and that with this new quantum system, the people will be, given justice once and for all, and there'll be a balancing of the scales. And I really don't, I don't see how anyone could look at a draconian government as such and imagine that there'll ever be a forgiveness. It's only become worse and worse and worse when it comes to the finances and the ongoing fiat scam system. And I think what gave them even more ability to perpetuate this idea was things like crypto becoming part of the conversation, and also the XRP community with these ideas behind what XRP's allegedly going to do. Again, a lot of this being conspiracy. So it ties in very interestingly to everything. And I know this because I cover XRP, and I have a lot of people who solely invest in XRP. Over the last year, they reach out to me, and this is a huge thing that they want to talk to me about the Nasara Jasara thing and the quantum financial system. And the quantum financial system, the way that it is kind of showcased to us through the narrative of a Charlie Ward, somebody sort of like him, which is quite an expansive community now, because they think Trump is the second coming of Christ, and he's going to, drain the swamp, and all the pedophiles are going to go away and all this shit. And it's like, it's so multifaceted. It is amazing. It's a magnificent sleight of hand. And it's been going on for so many years now that it's like impossible for me to still imagine that it's held its weight. But it continues, and it seems to, like I said, according to Ani, he told me that it's still going on. So pretty surprised with that. But again, should I be surprised? I don't know. Again, like, we see people that drive a car alone wearing a mask. So if we could see people do that and act like that, then of course we could see people continue to imagine and be optimistic and hopeful that a government would forgive debts and, be fair for once. But also, I would like to say that a lot of the time that has been wasted on this particular psyop has taken away a lot of energy from people to be able to see that they could set themselves free financially in other ways. Like I've said, a lot of people, because they've been aware of Nasara Jasara, have started to utilize their money or their wealth in frivolous ways because, again, they're hoping that there's going to be some sort of forgiveness of debts and that they're going to get their dues. So it's very cult-like in that regard as well. Those people could have been implementing that time and effort to be putting it towards their own personal finances and investing and coming up with a strategic protocol to be able to help themselves in the long run, instead of just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for something to change. All the time that we wait for change through this savior complex is time wasted on acting in the now, of actually taking action. And when we're able to actually take action and exist in the now and do things, small little changes every single day to perpetuate progress, we're going to see that, that's really where the truth lies. That's really where the abundance is. That's really where the change is. And anytime that you're ever, deciding to step away from that particular way of going about it, to externalize your power and externalize everything to be in the hands or the talons of some other entity, especially the government or politicians, well then, that's on you. That's your failure. And we do this time and time again. So I believe it's very strategic. Think about it, okay? The average person believes in their government. Then if people believe in the QAnon thing, the Q psyop and all the shit coming with that, then these people still believe that government exists and that there's virtue in it and that there's something good to come out of it. Isn't it sort of just all the same thing? Like, I mean, it adds up to the overall same net outcome. So it's very well done. I tip my hat to the influencers because they've really, covered all their bases and trapping in people into a belief system. So Euphoria 617 says Hermes, aka Mercury, plus Aphrodite is hermaphrodite. Yep. But also there is a Greek deity, if you want to call it that, called hermaphrodite. So that's also another thing to look into. Declan, appreciate you. You know what a Q is? A Q is a circle that has been severed of its energy with a line going through it. That's what a Q is, by the way. A Q is a circle. A circle is how you trap the energy but still allow it to move around freely within, as opposed to the square is a little bit more of like an energetic trap. The circle seals off the energy in a sense. Does kind of trap it in. But the Q is the circle with the line severing that. Understand my words. It's always deeper than what we imagine. Jai Chef, sending you lots of love. The humans diet is frugivore diet, but it should actually be breatharian. The vibrational frequency of this domain right now is not capable of, it's not easy to be that, though. It's very, very, very hard. And when it comes to the influence, it's clearly difficult as well. Yeah, Mike Wilt, absolutely 100%. Shi Vambu. Jack Paolo says, Ian, I remember someone asked a while back on the same question. His reaction was epic. What was that? What did I say? What did I say that time? So T. Henderson says dripping fresh squeezed lemon water into water makes the water living. No, T. Henderson. What makes water living is movement. Okay? But yes, if you do. So T. Henderson, what I will say to back up what you just mentioned, when you add the lemon into the water, what it allows is it will actually alkalize the body. And what it will also do is interstitially hydrate. So it does help with hydration. But the idea of living water comes from movement. So you could simply do this by taking 2 glasses and just pour the water in and out of the cup multiple times and to oxygenate it. That's what creates living water. And really the living waters would be like the mother's water or your waters or the water of the sky. But I would not recommend drinking water. It's rain. I would not recommend drinking rain. Do not drink rain because the stratospheric aerosol injection is fucked. You're like drinking barium juice, okay? So please do not drink rain. I know some people think that it's like, the government says it's illegal to collect rainwater. Yeah, I get that. I'm not trying to speak from that lens. I'm talking way deeper. Like, you don't want to drink rainwater. That shit's fucked. Unless you live somewhere that's like super off the grid. But even then, man, they're blanketing these skies. They're making it real difficult. Abdullah Nasif, sending you lots of love, my brother. Yeah, soil lacks a lot of things. That's why if you want to help your situation out with that, you could start consuming some Shilajit. That'll help. Dalton Davis says, what do I think about the XRP lawsuit? It's going on forever, man. I mean, I kind of like don't talk about it because like it's just not worth it. We've done well enough with just looking at the charts and doing the decodes and looking at it through that lens. I think we should just kind of focus on that for now. Because remember, anything that has to deal with the government or politics is just theater. So it's just there and it's going to play its role ritually. It'll end on a ritual date. The amount of days in between the whole event will be, ritual as well, etc. Yeah, fresh coconut water is living water. But all fruit is living water. Well, the idea that all dis-ease comes from mucus, yeah, well, because it's blockages in the body and you need to have the system clear of those blockages. So, yep, that's lymph. BB gets the best comment of all time. Ian, screen cap this guy's comment. They say veganism is transhumanism and mind control. Spelt improperly, but... Oh, this is a good one. Veganism is birth control. These are good, man. Chris Marr, chill it. Malnutrition is a hoax. All nutrition is a hoax. All like documentation of macronutrient and micronutrient profiling and all that shit, it's all bullshit. It's numbers on paper. It has nothing to do with the reflection of how the human body operates. Stop it with that mess. It's about to get like jalapeno up in here. Penguin P, that's very true, says kids are being taught that the labels are all that matters, and that's absolutely facts. But you got to step away from those labels. BB says food is the least important. Yo, we have to document all of these classic comments from this individual. It's roast hour on BB. You made it. You made it to the wall of legends. So food doesn't matter, but it's the top 10 causes of all mortality on Earth. But it doesn't matter, allegedly. The top 10 causes of mortality are all diet related. They're all related to diet. Number 3 is doctors' mistakes. And the reason most doctors are making mistakes is because people have gotten so unhealthy from the way they eat and their lack of taking care of their body that they end up in the hospital, and then the doctor fucks up on whatever it is that they're doing to them. Again, because of their way of consuming. Jody's blocking BB. I love this individual though. I love like a good soft troll, you know? Like I love a troll that's so soft you could just like kind of like watch him slide between your fingers like sand. I like a little puffy troll like BB. Just want to give him a hug, but I think my arms will go through him. Ian says Charlie Ward is my favorite psyop. We gotta lock Charlie Ward and BB in a room with steaks. We'll put a bunch of raw steaks on the ground and put Charlie Ward and BB in the room playing. We'll just play like a frequency for them and see who makes it out alive. You think Charlie Ward will reach into his pocket and take out a bar of gold? Just come here, BB. Thank you, Jody. Thanks for trying. Uh, Somebody says, so do you think the New World Order is going to completely take over then? One world gov, one world currency. It's already so. All right. We'll move on past all the ridiculous shit about food. This idea that the world doesn't already have a one world government is what the sickness is. If people don't think that there is already an operating globalist regime, like, you gotta wake up. I'm sorry to break it to people. It's already happening. Globalism, the globalist takeover, and a one world system is already here. It exists. It's that's it. It's done. There's no more things that they need to do. They just have to give it time. It's the totalitarian tiptoe. Every year, they do a new thing on a particular part of the planet that gets them one step closer to their overall agenda. Agenda 2030 is the whole shebang. We're already mostly like complete into that agenda because the mind part of it has been completed. The consciousness part has been completed. Humanity has forfeited their power. They're no longer empowered beings. They're no longer beings of light because they choose to not be. The globalist takeover is done. It's completed. It's here. It has nothing to do with Putin. It has nothing to do with... None of these leaders have any power. None of them do anything. Like, the people who are running the show aren't even physical beings. They parasite your consciousness. Tara, there could be a government-free Earth if we decided to stop believing in the government. The word government comes from gubernare mentis, which literally means mind control. That's all government is. It's mind control. I believe the history of Nasara Jasara started with this late stages of Bush Jr., George W. Bush, and it was sort of released into the world stage regarding some of the documents and some of the protocols through Barack Obama. I don't know why people get so caught up in this XRP thing with the flipping of the switch and all this. Like, all we need is people to stop selling their coins. Like, are people forgetting how coins go up and down in price? I want everyone. I'm not even going to talk about how it just. I want people to write in the chat. How does a coin go up in price or go down in price? Okay. I would love to know your thoughts. Because I think that's what's missing here. I think people don't even know why the coin goes down or up. Finally, Mandeep Bala, sending you lots of love for the first great question in a minute. Can you speak about the fake alien invasion, the next false flag? Do you know anything about that? Yes, sir. So the way that I'm anticipating that to go is there's already 3D artificial, simulated graphics of UFOs that could be utilized, just like planes can be, it's like a holographic plane, essentially. You could do the same thing with a holographic UFO. So that's probably the next big event on the world stage to complete the globalist agenda. Because what they will do is they will say it's a world invasion. It'll be completely a false flag. It'll be a world takeover. And this is a perfect opportunity for them to finally come out behind the curtain and expose to you that they've been working together all along. Because very similar to 9/11, like when 9/11 happened, within like 24 hours, they drafted all of the changes that they were going to do. It was like a 1,000+ page report, right? So they're going to do the same thing with this next big fake, alien invasion psyop. And that's going to be the way that they reveal how they're going to move really swiftly into the next change that's on the world stage. There's no such thing as aliens the way that we've been told. All the UFOs and all the shit that you're seeing flying in the sky and all these videos and everything is your military. It is the military. Any grays or things that look like the aliens that you've normally seen, they all come out of water. They all come from underground, okay? They're not coming from outside of the dome. They're not coming from outer space. They're coming out of water, okay? So yes, there are creatures that look like the thing that like Aleister Crowley showed us is what we call a gray, but it's coming out of water. It has the skin of a dolphin. It literally has the skin of a seal. It is a water creature. It is not a creature from outside of the dome. And it's not from the waters above, because there's no physical objects out there. It's all energy. So, yep, that'll be the next big thing. It'll be way bigger than the C word. I wish I knew when that would happen. I haven't really decoded it too much, but that's something that could possibly be in play for 2024 around that eclipse. Whatever says, I don't know why Matthew McConaughey makes me ill in my body every time I hear him speak. I love comments like that, man. That's beautiful. Yeah, so Lord Antipod says, is there any way to structure water without an expensive device? Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I explained a little bit earlier. You just move the water. Another thing you could do whenever you have still waters is you could put crystals in the water. But just be careful if you're going to move them with crystals in the water, because if you have like any pieces chip off, like if you have a quartz or something, you don't want to like swallow a little shard of quartz. That would not be fun. So be careful. No, water doesn't need minerals that come from the ground in their inorganic. I mean, like it's very basic. Like a human cannot consume dirt. It's not working too well with the human body. So there's a big difference between inorganic and organic minerals. So a lot of the time when people are consuming minerals in water, it is the inorganic type. It's the type that doesn't actually have any ability to be digested and utilized by the human body. So dirt doesn't have the ability or want to go into the cell. Dirt doesn't want to go into your cells, okay? So having mineral water is not helpful. All that is ground up stones. It's chalk. Stones, chalk, dirt do not want to go into the cell. It creates blockages. It creates problems. So the body will pee out a lot of that shit to save you. And that's a sign of your kidneys are still working. So that's why when you're consuming like these multivitamin pills and all that stuff, which are essentially just minerals from the, like, they're ground up dirt. It's just dirt. All that shit is getting pissed out. You're wasting money. Yeah, if you're going to consume minerals, you want it to be in living water, which is fruit and shivambu. And I mean, I wouldn't recommend rain, but rain is living. Natural spring water is okay, but it's full of dirt. So, like, that's why distilled water is better. Like, distilled water for consumption is the way to go. And all water in nature is distilled. No, I'm not saying that the rain is acid rain. I'm saying that the rain is coated in barium, strontium. I'm not talking about acid rain. I'm talking about literally microparticles of barium in our rainwater that gets on your skin and that fucks you up. It could create skin lesions. It could destroy the epidermis. I'm not talking about acid rain. No, the chemtrails are most likely being the stratospheric aerosol injection is most likely to slow down the ice age. It's to superheat the planet because these are metals that they're putting into the sky in the inner Earth's atmosphere. Okay, the sun will hit those particles that are essentially just pieces of metal, small little micro particles of metal, and literally sometimes pieces of plastic. Okay, and it's hitting the sun as light is hitting this. Like if you put up tinfoil, it's going to reflect. So it's reflecting down onto the surface, the waters below, and it's going to heat up the planet to slow down the inevitable. Well, so the conversation between the living water versus normal water is just because when people are thinking of standard water, they're thinking of stuff that's sitting in pipes all day, or they're thinking of like bottled water, right? Stuff that's been, filled in bottles, sitting in plastic for quite a long time. So that clears up people's confusion over what we're talking about when we're discussing living water. It's water that has been through movement, energy has been pushed through it. And you could do this in many ways. You could hold mudras in front of your glass of water. You can tell your glass of water. You could say a mantra to the water. You could literally write on your water something with a Sharpie on the bottle. I know it sounds wild, but it's done. It's been done before. You can make your water living water many ways. You don't have to buy any fancy machines. Yeah, hex has a lot of symbolism, but the biggest symbolism you're getting with the coin hex is the triple hex, the triple hexagon. Hexagon is 6 sides. Triple hex as their logo is the 666. That triple six comes back to carbon. The hexagon logo is showing you the beehive or the hive mind. So that's what that's all about. Is organic labeled food actually organic? I mean, it's just definitions and terms. Certified organic is just a certification, it's a term. It doesn't really mean anything, though. It depends on the organization, too. Some people consider organic not touching machinery. That would make almost all food inorganic if you were to utilize that guideline. So, I mean, when it comes to food and just being more simple about it, like biodynamic would be the way to go, and that's not easily, available. You go up to the ground or the tree and you pick the food off of it, like yourself. If you want to answer all your problems, like that's essentially how you'd get past all that stuff. So Jack Paulo says, "Am I crazy or actually heard that the theory of the ancient Egyptian civilization would have engineered a virtual realm that we are still in since?" Yeah. So remember, Jack, that's what I was talking about with the pyramids of Giza. How those three pyramids are actually a parasite. They've parasited our consciousness, and they're making us live in this. It's creating this illusion of materialism, of the material realm. And that's why they did all their practices and everything, so that when they reincarnated, they wouldn't be back here. They were like wizards. But that's a whole other topic. That was just me being open-minded to the idea of the Egyptian pyramids and how they've always been kind of celebrated as a good thing, but I look at that kind of thing way deeper. I look at it like it's created a malfunction in the Christ consciousness grid that is creating this sort of mindset, hive mind, ego consciousness that we have, duality consciousness that we're existing in today, which is the problem that's been here since pretty much the dawn of time, since we remember. Even in the quote unquote golden age, there was slavery. Yeah, so putting the frequencies next to the water, that helps too. Wow. Pone Sound Lab says, "Wish I could know your take on the magnetic pole reversal, but you're a flat earther." You see, like this is what people do, you know? They just coin you as something without knowing. Then does it deserve me? Do I should I answer your question then? You know? Don't label me as anything, bro. Get out of here with that. I'm a being of light. You're all infinite. You're everything you want to be. Don't let anyone label you. Stop labeling other people. Get past that. I said the spice is nice. There's a lot of. Never mind. Melda Diaz says, "Jordan, do you have a dog? I love dogs." No, I don't have a dog, Imelda. Sending you lots of love, though. I appreciate you tuning in. So Lux Tem, the lives we typically take away from the public YouTube after like 24 hours, and we just do that for like the security of the channel because of a lot of the things that we talk about, just trying to keep it safe around here. And then we keep them up on the Discord, which anyone who's in the Patreon Mastermind community will also have access to that. But that's not the only thing that comes along with the Patreon membership. It's just one of the perks is keeping the live streams forever. If I kept them up on my YouTube forever, it would be like, it would bring problems. As you know, spice level here could get, pretty caliente sometimes. Cause DNB said, why give these trolls your energy? I thought you were above this. Yo, I took all of that homie's energy. What do you mean giving him my energy? I don't give any energy to people. This is all transactional. If people want to act in fear, if people want to act in negativity, it's all transactional, baby. If you want to be about love, then oh man, give me a hug. Whatever said, give us a good movie to watch. Man, I haven't watched a movie in a while. And when I keep whatever is the name of one of the people in the chat. They've been following for a while. So if you ever hear me say whatever, it's because that's one of our fellow wolves. But yeah, can't really give a movie recommendation at this time. I haven't watched a movie in a while. I've been pretty busy working on my exit strategy blueprint right now. I'm super close to having that done. I'm planning on releasing it like tomorrow night. I probably shouldn't have even said that. I want to release it by the next Red Pill podcast that I do this weekend. Uh, yeah, so I'll see. I'm gonna try my best to get it done by this Monday, latest. But yeah, so I've been super busy with that, and I decided like to work as hard as I could to get to this Friday live stream so that I could be a little bit more like open on time. Alonzo Vega, appreciate you, brother. The super chat says, "Brother, what do you think about the center of the Earth?" Well, I'm super open minded to Hollow Earth or Inner Earth. It's absolutely fascinating. I've talked about the individual Billy Woodard a couple times in previous live streams, and yeah, definitely an interesting character. Everyone here should check him out. Actually, how about you guys do that instead of like if you're looking for a movie to watch this one interview with this guy Billy Woodard. If you've already seen this interview before, then obviously you don't have to watch it again. But super fascinating. Like, I don't necessarily 100% believe this individual had this experience. I'm open minded, like I said. But all the shit that happened with Admiral Byrd and New Schwabenland, the area that was occupied by the National Socialists over in Deutschland, that was an amazing story to start learning about. And it would be amazing if they did more like Europa the Last Battle style documentary stuff on New Schwabenland, and that part of Antarctica. Wow. Like how mind-blowing would it be if they got more documentation on that? So yeah, Billy Woodard seems to be like one of the only characters that has this like quote unquote experience there. But there was one other individual that claimed that they were from Agartha, which is Agartha below? No. Is Agartha the one that's below Mount Shasta? I forgot. Again, like this isn't necessarily provable stuff, but it is very, very interesting. He was talking about how he went to Area 51 and then started going in a elevator to like all these levels below, and then when he got out of the elevator, they needed to like decontaminate him, and then he put on this suit. They decontaminated again, and then he went into a tunnel with another sort of like a roller coaster type tunnel, and it was going super fast and had like no rail system. It was super advanced. Yeah, just mind blowing. And he said he basically got to a city that's under the earth, and they have a sun there, like an actual inner earth sun. And he was saying that the government calls this thing tried to sell everyone on this hollow earth, on the core Earth theory, the theory that there's a core in our Earth that has it's super hot, like all the bullshit they tell us in science. Anyways, he was just saying that when he went to this place below Earth, I don't know if it was called Telos. I think it was called Telos. And yeah, he was saying that strawberries down there are the size of a human torso. It's you could find a single grape that's bigger than a baby. He's just saying crazy stuff like that. And I don't mean crazy in a in a negative sense. It was just super interesting. Again, I don't necessarily believe it until I experience it, but it is absolutely interesting. So that's about all I could say on that. And sending you lots of love, Alonzo. I appreciate you, brother. Ian said, "Putting is literally the act of farting." Your own Gartner with the philosophical question of then what's the point of living? Well, we're here. We're here to serve our purpose. We find out that purpose along the way. Whatever that means to you. There's no goal here. There's no point to live. There never was any point. You're here to go through the Ouroboros. You come into this matrix as a child. You become indoctrinated into this adolescence and this idea of taking shit so seriously. And then once you seek enlightenment and wisdom and the gnosis within, you become more childlike. You become the fool. And once you become the fool, you're okay and neutral with everything that occurs. You're no longer worried. You're no longer anxious. You're no longer caring about what the elites do. You don't even think there's elites anymore. You become like a child. You walk outside and you just want to play. You see a guitar and you just want to play. There is no point to life. Walk up to a 4-year-old and ask them, "Hey, what's the point to life?" And they just chuckle at you. Because you sound like an adult who's taking things too seriously. There is no point. Just exist. You either exist or you live. I choose to live. Yeah, a couple Brazil nuts once in a while, great for you. But watch out, because too much selenium could be a problem. But those of you out there that wanted a nature's multivitamin, a Brazil nut once in a while could help out. Ivanikov asks me, what type of guitar do I play? All types of guitar. I predominantly play electric guitar, but I love playing acoustic as well. I used to do some acoustic percussive style guitar, which was very technical, but very fun to do. Anyone out there that knows artists like Andy McKay or there's another great artist. Just look up YouTube and type in acoustic and Candy Rat. Candy R-A-T. And it's a music label of a bunch of incredible guitar players. But Andy McKay is a well-known percussive acoustic guitar player, and I used to play that style. I still can, but I'm more interested in in alternative picking stuff than the actual using the guitar like a drum. But styles of guitar for anyone out there that wants to see something that's like a one-man band kind of thing. I see a bunch of people talking about Elon. I'm not sure why. Maybe I'm missing the point. Oh, you guys are talking about what is the difference between selling and, yeah. So I just think it's funny how people get mad at the prices going down, and they forget that retail sells. Retail is the one who sells. The richest people in the world don't sell. They borrow against their crypto holdings. They collateralize their crypto holdings. They don't sell it. They don't need to sell it. There's 17,000 cryptocurrencies. The reason why all of them react the way they do to a 50% drop in Bitcoin is because retail holds all those coins, and retail doesn't know what they're doing. Even these XRP maxis, they all are selling when the coin goes down. So again, no shade being thrown, but it's just the truth. If everyone really gave, if people really loved this XRP token so well, then they wouldn't sell it, and we would see it reflect in the price. We wouldn't see the price being as dramatic as it has been. But anyways, let's get past that. I don't want to talk about that today. Basically, if everyone just stopped selling, the prices would be much more stable. But the problem is the prices start to break down a little bit because the comp man will start to get you towards support, and once we get slightly below support, all the traders get liquidated on their trades, and then people just start panic selling. And then the next thing you know, there's a buy wall, and the same people who brought you down to support are just buying up that dip, and they're doing that over and over and over and over and over again, and they're not even doing it with their crypto. They're doing it with what they're being borrowed for, lent on their collateralized crypto, which is stable coins. All right, my family, I gotta go. I think it's time. It's been 3 whole hours. We did it. Got a lot of people hanging out all the way to the end. I appreciate all of you beautiful people. It's amazing how far we made it. 450 people. Yeah, be careful with moldavite. It has the word mold in it, and mold comes back to the black goo. You got to watch out with the black goo. It's very powerful stuff. There's no crystals that are toxic necessarily. Some crystals just don't vibrationally align with where you're at. You might be on a different frequency than the crystal, and it doesn't resonate with you. You always want to take note of that. What resonates with you? What gets you up when you're down and gets you to the equilibrium? That's where you want to be. You want to be balanced. All right, let me see if I missed any. I'm going to answer some super chats just to finalize this. Got my brother Dirty Sinatra says, I would love to hear your take on cryptids like Bigfoot Dogman missing people in the woods. Love what you do, Hollow Earther here. wait, what? Take on cryptids? Bigfoot Dogman? What are you saying? What? Missing people in the woods. Yeah, I gotta admit, I don't know what you're asking me, but it's funny. But I have a lot of love for you. I'm sorry that I can't really figure out what you're asking. But maybe if you could catch the question before I turn this off, I'll read what you're saying. Marcel, sending you hugs. Stock Talk says, I can't believe you're still alive. I can't believe it either. I don't know how I've made it so far. All right, everyone. I appreciate you. Yeah, Jack Paolo says big virtual hug. Let's do that. Having a big final 300 person virtual hug. I appreciate every single person here. Every single alien that joined this tonight. You're all loved. LMS, I appreciate you. Badhead, I appreciate you. All right, family. It's all love. Take care of yourselves. Have a beautiful weekend. Stay positive. Eat black grapes.